Hello guys, my name is Fireguy and welcome back to Hot Fire. This Hot Fire is for the Impact Wrestling episode that aired last Thursday, September 21st, 2017. So let's get right into it, guys. This episode of Impact was dedicated to Bobby Heenan. I'm really glad Impact Wrestling did it. Bobby Heenan is a huge legend in the wrestling business. I personally didn't. I'm too young to have watched him like while he was actually a performer. I managed to, once I got into wrestling, to go back and watch pretty much all of the WWF, WCW, ECW stuff, and I managed to catch Bobby Heenan. Well, the time where Bobby Heenan was a performer, and I can say that he is one of the best on-screen performers that's ever existed in that time. So after that, we get a recap of Johnny Impact becoming number one contender, the beatdown of Moose at the end of last week's episode, and a little recap, I think, of the X Division title match, if I remember correctly. And then we cut to behind the scenes. Johnny Impact is running around, pushing people, yelling at people, asking for Eli Drake. He goes down to the ring. He says he wants his title shot tonight. But instead, KM's music hits for some reason. KM comes out with a referee. He says that Eli Drake's in Mexico, dude. He's not here. Johnny's like, no, I saw his car outside. He's here. And Cam's like, are you calling me a liar? And Johnny's like, yeah, I am calling you a liar. Then after Cam starts getting mad at the Impact Zone for some reason, saying they suck. And then Johnny Impact starts a rocket douche chant. I have no idea what that means. Cam's like, I am undefeated on the Impact roster, the only undefeated wrestler on the Impact roster, and I deserve that number one contendership that you have, Johnny Impact, so why don't you put it on the line right now? And Johnny Impact agrees because he's a babyface, and that's what babyface do, make stupid decisions, and the match is on its way. So, before we get into the match, guys, I just want to review overall that segment. This segment, I'll give it a lukewarm. It just, honestly, I don't know what KM is supposed to be at this point. First off, why did KM come out instead of Chris Adonis? Chris Adonis is Eli Drake's right hand man, so it would make more sense if Chris Adonis came out instead of KM. They've never mentioned KM having any affiliations whatsoever with Eli Drake or Chris Adonis. He's affiliated with Sienna, but not with them. Also, Cam is a decent enough loudmouth. He's not as clever as Eli Drake on the mic. He doesn't have witty remarks, stuff like that. Like, you fans in the Impact Zone suck. Like, what the hell? But anyways, he's a decent enough loudmouth, and he could be used as a lower mid card heel. But it just felt out of place here. He just didn't feel like welcomed in this kind of scenario. So anyways, we go to the match here, guys. Johnny Impact versus KM. Johnny starts off a little countdown at the start. Cam's a bit confused. Then at 0, Johnny kicks him in the face, but then gets a 2 count after hitting a standing shooting star. Then after Cam gets control for a bit, mostly just arm drags and throws, stuff like that. Then after that, in the end stretch, Cam takes a knee to the face. And then what Impact Wrestling called the breakdancing leg drop gets a 2 count on KM, and then Johnny Impact hits the big 450 move that he always hits to put KM away. So overall, this match, what were we expecting else? It was just a squash. So I'll give it hot, just for the fact that, you know what, I'm not even gonna give it a hot. Sorry, I'm going to bring it down to lukewarm. Just for the sake of the fact that I don't know what Cam was doing. I have no idea. I just did not like how the show started off. It just didn't sit well with me. Obviously, it wasn't bad. It just felt okay why they're going with this. But anyways, this match, Chris Adonis could have been a way better fit, you know, like especially with him hitting the Adonis lock last week, it would make more sense for Johnny Impact to take his anger out on him. So besides that, it wasn't all that interesting. KM shouldn't be in this position. He should definitely be used more often. Like, they made huge vignettes and skits for him with Are You Lying? Are you calling me a liar? I mean, and they never did anything with him after that. So he'd be a decent act to put in the lower mid card or mid card, and have him feud with people like Marche Rocket. You know, like two big guys going at it. I know people, especially you guys, the Impact Zone or ImpactAsylum. What the fuck? I called you guys the Impact Zone. Holy shit! I'm sorry, guys. That's a pretty bad insult. ImpactAsylum. You guys at ImpactAsylum aren't a big fan of either of these two. Some of you guys are fans of Cam. Some of you aren't. Most of you are against Marche Rocket. But I feel like it would be at least a decent thing for Cam to do, because I feel like Cam deserves at least a bit more screen time before we can make some kind of real opinion on if he's good or not. Anyways, we head to the back, and Pagano's with El Hijo del Fantasma, and then he walks up to someone. That person's hidden behind the camera, or the camera's pointing at a different angle, so you can't see his face. And Pagano's like, he says that you know what to do once our matches tonight. You know what to do. Get ready. So we don't know who it is. For those that read spoilers, you guys know who it is. For those that are caught up on wrestling news, we know who it is. It's Tejano. We'll see how he debuts later on in the show. Now we head on to our next match here, guys, as it's Eva Story versus Taya Valkyrie. So this is Taya Valkyrie's second match in Impact Wrestling, defeating Amber Nova last week in a squash. And this match is not any different. So the match starts off right away. Taya pushes Eva Story down, starts beating her down, and then she hits the Road to Valhalla. So that's the name that they're giving to her finisher. That was the reverse double chicken wing face buster move that she did last week in Amber Nova. Didn't have a name at the time. They're calling it Road to Valhalla. I personally think that's a cool name. It fits her character of Valkyrie. And that pin story in under like 2 minutes. So that match was hot for the fact that it was a perfect squash. You go in, you do your shit, and you get out. Like, it's not dragged on, it's not glorified, it doesn't last 5 minutes. It's literally what a squash is supposed to be. Eva got no offense in, which makes Taya look even stronger. So after the match, Taya says she's Lucha royalty and she's here to get the Knockouts title. But then Rosemary comes right out with half face paint, like from her nose up is not painted, but her mouth is, with the skeleton smile thing. She says she hears laughters in her head. She says that the Hive thinks that Taya's not deserving of the title shot and that she should have it. Well, they should have it, the Hive and Rosemary. And then obviously that starts a fight. That pisses off Taya and they start fighting. Rosemary gets the upper hand, but then Sienna comes in for the save, starts beating down Rosemary. But then we see a little argument there between Taya and Sienna. So it just shows that even though the battle lines have been kind of drawn in the Knockouts division, that these women are still all after one thing pretty much, which is the Knockouts title, regardless of who's friends or who's foe in this. So after that, Sienna comes in for the save, like I said, and then Ali comes in, and then Taryn Terrell, and then obviously in the end, Gail Kim comes in the clean house because she's the hero and the savior and the god of Impact Wrestling. So overall, this segment was okay for what it had to do. Like, obviously it was quite generic. We've seen this happen tons of times before, but it does set the battle lines in the Knockouts division, especially at the end, with the 3 heels on the outside of the ring and the 3 faces on the inside of the ring, which was the opposite of what happened last week. So we know the battle lines are drawn, and it's hinting towards a 6-man tag at Victory Road next week. So we go back to Mexico, where OVE says, no, we're not going to leave till we get another title shot. So they go to LAX's, not hideout, but their little club that they have. They walk in, and there was a security, well, not security guard, but some guy against the wall. He was hiding his face, texting, facing the wall. Then he turns around, and it's Homicide. Well, it looked like homicide. It might not be homicide. It was really close up of his face, so it was kind of hard to see. But anyways, he calls Conan, says that they're here. Get ready. Conan's like, oh, it's okay. Let them have the time of their life, and then we'll deal with them in the back. So we cut to a clip of them, like, sitting down on sofas, getting lap dances and stuff like that by strippers. Well, not strippers. They were dressed, but exotic dancers. That's the real technical, non-offensive term in 2017. But anyways, and then OV get brought to the VIP room, and that's where they were gonna get confronted by LAX. They're sitting down, and they're like, "Okay, man, we gotta do it now. We gotta ask for that title shot." Then LAX come barging in. They start yelling at each other. It's very hard to figure out what they're saying. But anyways, they start yelling for a tag team title match. LAX agree. They said it's fine. Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Next week. So at next week, we're getting OVE versus LAX for the GFW tag team titles. It's a rematch. So I like that whole segment. Like, one thing I like about Impact with the way they're doing these storylines like this is that it's not stuff you usually see before. Like, especially if you look at WWE. What did I say there? WWE. But anyway, look at WWE, ROH. They don't do that stuff. They don't go. Most of it is just behind the scenes locker room. Oh, I want to fight you. You want to fight me? Stuff like that. Meanwhile, it's kind of like Lucha Underground, where they give a cinematic universe, or like it makes it seem like the wrestling's happening all the time, all over the place, all over the world. So like, I like that they're doing that, and this segment was actually interesting. At the end, it was a bit confusing. They were yelling insults left and right, which does make it more realistic, but oh well. So now we get a little, I think it was a snippet. I don't think the Global Forge episodes are that short, but anyways, we get a Global Forge snippet. It's Scott D'Amore in the back. He's reviewing all the tapes, saying that this is the time. Everyone got their tryout match. Now it's time to select only 3 out of like the 50 or so people they had there to move on to the finals. So we get a few names, few interviews. We get bits and clips of the matches. Lots of these wrestlers I personally know, so it's cool to see them on Impact Wrestling TV. For those who are wondering, the British dude, he's not actually, well, he's British, but I mean, like, I'm pretty sure he lives in America. He's been in a few indie dates for the indie company that works near my area. Also, the guy with the black hair that said he has a silver medal in a bunch of sports, stuff like that. His name is Hannibal, and he's the Great North Wrestling champion of the indie company, which is called Great North Wrestling, that runs in my area. So it's really cool to see him there. I'm personally rooting for him. He is a super, super well done wrestler. Like, he is overall really good. He plays a really good character in the indies. And his matches are really, really good. Like, I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but like, he's the guy I've seen the most of, and I'm really surprised he hasn't made it somewhere yet. Like, he's gotten tons of tryouts in the WWE. He always gets invited almost every year to get a tryout, but for some reason he just doesn't make it. I think he's had a few NXT house show dates, but that was about it. And then he left for some reason. I've talked to him a few times before. Like, I know him like personally. So like, anyways, so it was really cool to see him in there. Hopefully he makes it to the final 3. So after the match, well, not after that match, but after that little clip which was really well done, by the way. That got me really interested in Global Forge. I actually want to go on YouTube and see if that's just snippets or if those are the actual Global Forge episodes. But I'm going to go watch the Global Forge on YouTube later on to see if it's real, to see what it's all about. Anyways, we go backstage, and here's Gail, Ali, and Rosemary. Ali's like, I had to come to save Miss Gail Kim and my demon friend. They needed help, and she's like, I came to save, and we want to fight them. We want a 6-man tag. And after Rosemary says she wants blood and gore, and Ali gets all happy about that, which is weird because Ali plays like the cute, innocent girl gimmick, and she's all excited by Rosemary talking creepy and saying blood and gore and stuff like that, which was kind of weird. But anyways, after that we get a little recap of the X Division title match last week. Petey Williams says it was not cool what they did. Like, that's totally against the X Division. He says that he's ready to go after that title and bring some prestige back to the X Division. So next week we're getting also another title match here as Trevor Lee defends against Petey Williams. So lots of more segments here. We get a little ad for Bound for Glory in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Can't wait to buy my tickets for that. And then we get a little Grado snippet or segment. Grado saying, well, it was just his first gig as part of the sports management team at Parks and Parks, and he says that he's going to the God's land of Cleveland, Ohio, and one of the biggest venues when it looked like it was a church. It was stupid. He's like, I'm going to one of the biggest venues in the area, and it was like some rundown, the basement of a rundown church, like it was really stupid. He says it was a really well attended show. He was well paid and kicked some ass, and it was just so stupid. In the end, he's making dollar bills, and he's like, overall, it was just a dumb segment. Now, if the videos keep going in this direction, I feel like it's just gonna be a waste of time. Like, just get to the point already. I enjoy the storyline of Grado and Joseph Park near the middle mark, and that was about it. Right now, I just did not like that section at all. The segment, I mean, it just was not good. So now let's head on to the next match here, guys. Where it's the tag team match of El Pagano and El Hijo del Fantasma versus Eddie Edwards and Ethan Carter III. So this is basically intruders came into Impact Wrestling, so Eddie Edwards and EC3 are sticking together, even though they're enemies, one's heel, one's face. They're sticking together to try and get the AAA guys out of Impact. So this match, I'm not going to go through the whole match. I'm just going to give it a warm, this one, guys. Basically, like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole match, and there's not really anything that sticked out. This match, I really felt was stuck in that first gear, like you want to describe it. Like there's the next level, first level. It was stuck in that first level. It never went the next speed. It never got any better. It was just like tag in, tag out. Throw punches, one person interferes, next person interferes, more punches, more throws, more suplexes, stuff like that. It never was big fancy moments, all out mayhem, which I guess is a good thing in a way, since there's the ending of tag team matches always end in mayhem, and there was a bit of a mayhem at the end, but besides that, there just wasn't much to talk about in the match itself. So that doesn't mean it's bad. Like, I'm still giving it a warm because it was a well done match. Basically, one thing that I absolutely hated though, which brings down the rating even more. I was gonna give it a hot before, but I'm gonna give it a warm now because of this. Was what the hell was the referee thinking? Eddie Edwards, El Hijo del Fantasma were the legal men, and then EC3 was at his turnbuckle, and Pagano was at his turnbuckle, and then EC3 just got really mad, came into the ring, and I'm sorry, I'll take that back. Basically, EC3 was in the ring, Pagano was on the floor, and Pagano pulled EC3's legs out from underneath him and dragged him outside the ring, and the referee went to go break it up. Why does that matter in any way? They're not the legal men. They can fight if they want. They're not inside the ring. That just pissed me off so much. That segment made no sense. It was literally there just for Tejano, which, spoiler if you haven't watched Impact yet, but I don't know why you'd be watching Hot Fire. But anyways, Tejano debuted in this match. Tejano powerbombs Eddie, and then he puts Fantasma on top of Eddie Edwards, and Fantasma gets the pin. But like I said, that was absolutely stupid. I literally almost chucked my remote at the TV watching that. It was so stupid. Why did the referee go out to break up Pagano and EC3? It it was literally done just for the storyline, for the sake of Tejano debuting and Tejano managing to beat down Eddie Edwards without the referee seeing. It was absolutely atrocious. It's WWE referee level stupidity, and it was, oh man, I just did not enjoy that whatsoever. But I am still giving this rating pretty high because overall the storyline's interesting as well. So the match was okay. Like I said, no big defining moments, but it was a clean, well fought match. It's cool that the AAA guys got a win over Eddie Edwards and EC3. It gets them a bit of what am I saying here? Momentum going forward, so that's really cool. After the match, obviously, Pagano, El Hijo de Fantasma, and Tejano start beating down Eddie Edwards. EC3 comes in, tries to go in for the save, but then he gets beat down. And then James Storm's music hits, and he comes out to save them. The announcer said, I was a bit weirded. I was like, what the hell? Why is James Storm coming out? Are they just throwing him to another storyline for the sake of throwing him to another storyline? Because that's what they were kind of doing with the MMA stuff, and then they dropped him, and now they're throwing him in this storyline. I'm like, he's just going to save them and never appear in this ever again? I don't know. The announcer said that they gave a good excuse. They said that he's a TNA original. He doesn't want intruders coming into his territory. He runs this place, which, I mean, like, it's not true. He's pretty much been forgotten in the last few weeks. But anyways, it makes sense that he's an original. He doesn't want intruders coming in. He's got lots of not patriotism, but like, you know, he feels he has strong connections to this place and doesn't want it being run down by intruders, which makes sense. And then he goes in for the save, cleans the whole house, and then Carter and Storm have a stare down, which makes sense since they don't really like each other. James Storm got injured by EC3, and that's why he was gone for a few weeks. And it wouldn't make sense if they were magically friends again. So at least it keeps it logical. I really enjoyed this segment after the match. So it's going to be cool to see where they go next. After that, we go to the backstage. Johnny Impact still running around yelling at people, asking for Eli Drake for some reason, and then he runs into Fantasma, Pagano, and Tejano. Tejano and Fantasma start talking really broken English, which pissed me off again because these two can speak perfectly fine English. I know, I've watched Lucha Underground. I know for a fact Tejano speaks well, or decently well English, more than he spoke here. And I know Fantasma was King Coronel and he was the quiet guy in Lucha Underground, but I'm pretty sure he speaks English as well. Or at least better than that. But anyways, Tejano says that they don't like him in AAA. He literally came there just to get money, stuff like that, and he has all the titles just because he's a fancy name, stuff like that, and they want to fight him. Johnny Impact's like, you want to fight me, Tejano? You want to fight me? Fine, I'll put my number one contendership on the line. What the fuck? Number one contendership. I wanted to throw my remote to the television again. I'm like, what the hell? Why would you do that? He voluntarily put his number one contendership on the line again just to fight Tejano, which is absolutely stupid. But anyways, we're having another match tonight, Johnny Impact versus Tejano. I feel like they just didn't film enough content for this episode, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta film one more match, and they just filmed the same thing twice, just Johnny Impact versus someone else. But anyways, now we get a match that lots of you guys were not excited for. I wasn't excited for. Congo Kong versus Mahabali Shera. So this does make sense, guys. They've had a few stare downs throughout the last few weeks, so hopefully this is like the match that, like the big finale match that no one's interested in. But hopefully this ends the little small feud they had going on. Basically, Shera tries to hammer away at Congo Kong, hardly phases him. This is supposed to be a battle of giants, but Shera can't even take down Congo Kong. Congo starts throwing Shera around. He throws Mahabali Shera outside of the ring, and then Congo Kong starts posing, and then Mahabali Shera tries to hit a springboard. But then, you know how Green Shera is. he almost slipped off that springboard, almost fell on his face, but managed to catch his balance and kind of clothesline Kongo Kong down in the process. It was really botched, but you know, Cher is green, so like there's nothing really to get mad about. We weren't expecting anything different. Then Kong stands back up, headbutts him down, and then hits the cannonball and then a top rope splash to end Mahabali Shera. So it was a quick match, went under 4 minutes. It is what it was supposed to be. I'm glad that Mahabali Shera is trying new things at least. I know you guys in the ImpactAsylum, you know, bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch about Mahabali Shera and say that, oh, he's no good, he's not good, he's not good, he's not going to ever be good, he's stupid, he's not good. The problem is he's greener than the vegetables in my kitchen upstairs right now, you know? Like, you need to give these people time. Like, I get that he's not meant for television right now, but like, how do you think wrestlers started, hey? Take your favorite freaking wrestler, whoever your favorite wrestler is. You know, they started off like Shera. So I don't know why people are triggered. I don't know why people are mad. Yes, I said triggered, I'm sorry. But I don't know why people are mad. I get that Shera shouldn't be on television, like I said. He doesn't. He should go back and get some training before coming back on television. But at the end of the day, everyone was green one day. I don't know why people are mad that he's green. That's literally how I take it on the ImpactAsylum. People are just like, oh, he's such a rookie, he sucks. Okay, good argument. But anyways, moving on. We cut to Mexico as Eli Drake says that he came to Mexico to find Johnny Impact, but it seems like Johnny Impact isn't at AAA because Johnny Impact is scared. He said he was going to fight Johnny Impact tonight at AAA, but it looks like they're going to have to wait till next week at Victory Road. And he says that the gravy train is coming down the tracks and he's going to run over Johnny Impact. And he says no one's taking his title from him. And of course, just great mic work from Eli Drake yet again. It was just on a whole other level compared to some of the people on the roster. So anyways, we get a recap of what happened last week with Moose and Lashley, and we get a little sit-down interview with Moose. Moose is just not happy. He says Lashley thinks he's a big deal. Lashley's a two-sport athlete. He's also a two-sport athlete, NFL and wrestling. He's like, I don't know why Lashley thinks he's a big thing. Moose was a bit, I don't know, he just didn't seem all there in that interview. He just was like really down. I might have been for the sake of the segment there, because you know he got beat down, so he's like, yeah, I'm beat down, yeah, you know. And he also had a bit of anger to his like depression, sadness voice going on. But like also in the Bound for Glory ad played afterwards, he still had the depressed voice, so I don't know. But anyways, he says he isn't happy. He starts swearing like crazy, which, by the way, in this last bit of the match, last bit of the show, they swear quite a lot, which lots of you guys in ImpactAsylum enjoyed, and I enjoyed too. I like how Impact is sticking to the TV14 format and letting the swearing happen. It gives an edge to the show over the family-friendly crap that's being produced by other companies. So now we head on to the next match here, as it's Johnny Impact putting his #1 contendership on the line yet again against Tejano. So this match was good. I'm gonna give it a hot. Basically, it's there's only 2 hot matches on this whole show. This one and the main event, which I'll get to a little bit later. There was a few cool moments in this match. I'm not gonna go through them all. It was a solid match. It went about 15 minutes. Shouldn't have gone any farther. Shouldn't have gone any shorter. It was the perfectly done, well-made match. Like, I have no complaints whatsoever. Like, this was a solid, like, not cookie cutter, but like, this had the formula of everything to make a good TV match. Like, I was like, wow, okay, a decent surprise. It was really nice to see. These two worked quite well together. it's cool seeing Tejano now in Impact Wrestling. I know some of you in Impact Asylum aren't a fan of all these new names being brought in, but I love seeing all these new names come and debut in Impact Wrestling because I think I think of Impact Wrestling more highly than I do of other companies, so it's cool seeing them come to a better company in my view. Anyways, not a better company, but a better wrestling promotion, not stick company. But yeah, cool moments. Wasn't as fast as Low Key versus Johnny Impact from last week as you would think, like as you'd expect. I mean, because Tejano isn't a fast wrestler; he's a brawler. That's his style, and they play that pretty well. There was a bunch of aggressive moves. They used the step slots on the outside to cause damage to each other. Lots of swearing throughout the match, so it was really good, and you felt the aggressiveness there. So yeah, overall hot, just really good match. Or not really good, but like it was a good solid TV match. Like this is what a TV match was meant to be. The whole formula was there in my opinion. So now we cut the camera to the crowd. Laurel Van Ness is like half insane, half not. Her makeup's messed up, but she's in a normal dress. Not messed up dress, but like just a normal dress. She's acting half normal, half not. And she's like petting random dudes sitting on their laps in the crowd. And like some of these guys, you knew they weren't plants. Like the first guy, he went with it. The second guy was absolutely weirded out. Like he was obviously like not a real, he was as casual as you could get, so I guess he wasn't used to this kind of stuff, and some guy was just yelling. So it was a bit weird. But she's looking for a man because Grado left her last week. Now we cut to the office. It's cool that Impact Wrestling have a little office set, which makes it more cool, like more authentic, I guess. So Sienna, Taya, and Taryn go into Karen Jarrett's office, and they say they want the 6-man tag next week. Then Karen's like, yeah, okay, cool. You want your match? Cool, you'll have your match. So next week we have a 4th match for Victory Road as Taya, Taryn, and Sienna take on Allie, Rosemary, and Gail Kim. So now we go to AAA in Mexico. Our main event, Eli Drake defending his GFW Global Championship against some guy called Bronze. So this match was just glorified squash, really. It lasted about 4 minutes. Bronze had a bit of offense at the start. It was really weird because Eli Drake is not a really tall dude compared to some of the other wrestlers in GFW, but compared to Bronze, he looked massive. Basically, it was fast match, like I said. Basically, how the match goes, Hurricane Rana is countered into a power bomb. Drake starts choking away on Bronze. He hits the big ending on Bronze, but that only gives a 2 count. Then Bronze hits a Hurricane Rana yet again, gets a 2 count off that, but then Eli Drake comes right back up and hits the gravy train for the win and to retain his title. So like I said, a quick little match. 2 things I want to point out big time about this match, which made it really better. Like I said, I'm giving it a hot. Main events sometimes have to be squashes like this, and especially in a setting like this, it makes it more important, especially it being in AAA Mexico. If it was a squash in the Impact Zone as a main event, it just wouldn't be a good main event, but here the context makes it better. So 2 things, like I said, I want to point out about this match. 1, this wasn't the Impact Zone. There's actually people in the stands, a lot more than Impact Zone, and all of them were wrestling fans. So this made it way better. Way better to watch. The people were actually loud, cheering, and everything, so it was really good. And second thing I wanted to point out was mind blank. Crap. Oh yeah, it was a full match instead of the clips. That's what I just remembered. Last week with the tag team match, it was literally just stupid clips and montages that made no sense. It wasn't even in order in chronological order of what happened in the match. Here was the full thing, so that makes it so much better, and it makes it a lot easier for us to follow. So overall, a good main event. So yeah, and after that, we get a little victory road ad to end the show. Next week, we're getting, like I said, the whole card. We have 4 matches announced up to now, which is probably going to be the full card. We have Johnny Impact versus Eli Drake for the GFW Global Championship. We have Taya, Taryn, and Sienna versus Gail Kim, Ali, and Rosemary in a 6-man tag match. We have OVE versus LAX for the GFW Tag Team titles. And we have Trevor Lee versus PD Williams for the X Division title. So we're probably going to have 1 or 2 more matches added to the card, guys. But that's it for this episode of Impact Wrestling. Basically, I'm going to give this whole show a lukewarm. It definitely wasn't the most solid episode they put out thus far. I do like to point out mostly the positives, guys, of the show. That's why I didn't focus too much on the negatives. But there were some negatives there, which brought it down to a lukewarm. Like I said, most of these matches were nothing interesting. The Tejano and Johnny Impact match was probably the best match on the card, and Eli Drake versus Braun's match was only a hot because of the context surrounding it and stuff like that. So overall, not a solid. Well, it was a solid, but not the best episode of Impact Wrestling. Hopefully, Victory Road bashes this one right out of the water and is really good. So starting next week, guys, something new for Hot Fire on Impact Asylum. I will be doing prediction videos. So yes, for those wondering what a prediction video will be, for all the big major events, I'm not going to be doing it every week, but for Victory Road, Destination X, Slammiversary, Bound for Glory, Lockdown, stuff like that, bigger shows, I will be doing prediction videos of the card. So predicting who the winner is, what's the outcome going to be, stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. That should be uploaded at the beginning of next week. So, on the website, So, my name's Fireguy, and I'll see you all next week for another episode of Hot Fire.